Bill O'Reilly, Killing Lincoln, the shocking assassination that changed America forever. Killing Lincoln, the shocking assassination that changed America forever takes you back to the critical events of 1865, as the Civil War neared its end and Abraham Lincoln's assassination unfolded. The book explores Lincoln's aspirations for reunification, the hardships faced by the Confederate and Union forces, and the sinister, assassination plots against the president, focusing on John Wilkes Booth's role. In this summary, we'll revisit some unforgettable moments in American history and delve into the motivations and actions of infamous conspirators.
The beginning of the end. As the American Civil War neared its end in April 1865, Union General Ulysses S. Grant's forces proved too much for Confederate General Robert E. Lee's diminishing army. With only 35,000 fighting men remaining compared to Grant's 200,000, the Union's capture of Richmond, Virginia, the capital of the Confederacy, appeared to signal an end to the war. However, this was just the beginning of a different fight against those who opposed the Union's victory. Abraham Lincoln, the Union president, became the target of assassination plots fueled by the anger of Southerners who believed the end of slavery threatened their way of life. One of these people was John Wilkes Booth, who saw it as his duty to fight for the Confederacy even after Lee's defeat. As the war concluded, a new battle for the country's future was just beginning. The Confederacy's last stand. Lee's plan to escape the Union forces was thwarted at High Bridge, leading to the Confederacy's ultimate surrender. After the fall of Richmond, Lee's army was exhausted and hungry, but still within reach of supplies in Farmville, Virginia. However, the Union had spies and knew of this plan. On April 6, 1865, a battle ensued at High Bridge, which the Confederates lost, suffering nearly 8,000 deaths or prisoners. Lee's remaining men were surrounded and outnumbered, leading to his surrender on April 9, 1865. President Lincoln finally received news of the war's end, marking the Confederacy's last stand. Lincoln's challenge. After the Civil War, Abraham Lincoln faced the daunting task of healing a divided nation while dealing with multiple assassination attempts, including the successful one by John Wilkes Booth. Booth was motivated by his white supremacist beliefs and loyalty to the Confederacy, and he carried out his plan to kill the president in April of 1865. Lincoln's assassination. Abraham Lincoln's assassination by John Wilkes Booth was a result of Booth's desire for recognition and his opportunity to act on it. Booth's murder plot was facilitated by the theater managers' shared news of the Lincoln's presence at Ford's Theater that night. Booth targeted Lincoln in his state box, which had only one doorway, as the bodyguard had left his duty to get a drink. Initially, Booth planned to kill Lincoln and General Ulysses S. Grant but had to suffice with only killing Lincoln because Grant left for home early. Thus, Booth successfully executed his plan and became known by the world as the mastermind behind Abraham Lincoln's assassination. The assassination of Abraham Lincoln. On the night of April 14, 1865, two assassination attempts were made on the lives of William Seward and Abraham Lincoln. Lewis Powell, a co-conspirator of John Wilkes Booth, attempted to murder Seward while he was recovering from a severe injury. Meanwhile, Booth himself entered the state box at Ford's Theater and shot Lincoln in the head. Despite administering first aid, it was clear that Lincoln would not survive the wound. He was carried across the street to a boarding house where he took his last breath the following morning. The tragic end of Booth. The assassination of President Abraham Lincoln left the nation mourning and in shock. John Wilkes Booth, the man responsible for the terrible act, fled but was eventually captured with his co-conspirator. Booth was in a state of misery as he had fractured his fibula while trying to escape and failed to receive public sympathy for his actions. Booth attempted to resist arrest, and in the process, was shot and killed by Sergeant Boston Corbett, causing him to be paralyzed from the neck down. The nation continued to heal from the aftermath of the assassination as Vice President Andrew Johnson assumed the presidency.
As the Civil War closed, the conflict was far from over. Lincoln's assassination, orchestrated by John Wilkes Booth and his accomplices, shattered the country, and the new president Andrew Johnson was tasked with healing a divided nation. With compelling detail, Killing Lincoln uncovers the waning days of the Confederacy, the tumultuous aftermath of the war, and the night that changed America forever. By understanding the events and motives leading up to Lincoln's assassination, we can better grasp the profound impact it had on the nation's path to unity and recovery.